Hello, peculiars. Well, welcome to a wonderful show. I think we're all really excited about this one. One thing I will have to say, and I feel like this is just something I have to admit early on, is that Davy is not here. And what that means, as you all know, is that comedic things will happen as I try to run this by myself. On the bright side, however, I do have some help. And today I have Leanne is going to join me and she's going to help me. And so is Wallace, who's decided that my lap is very important right now. So we're both here and we're very excited that we are going to be able to welcome a fabulous author who has some things to say about sartorial splendor. Are you excited, Leanne?
I am.
I am too. We've got a lot of people here already. I see Kristen from Seattle. She said she really enjoyed this book. And I know Rebecca's here. She says she's super excited. Jen is excited because her schedule finally lined up. Anya is here. Sadie says hello from I-24 near the Kentucky-Illinois border. So they're on the road. Randy Trent is here and Susan Cotter is here. We've got a lot of fun people. And of course, we have our author. And I have no idea how to do the ink explosion. So just imagine it in your mind as I bring to the stage. Boom. Hannah Carlson. We've been mispronouncing your name the entire time, including on the promo video. And I am so sorry. We are really excited to welcome you. And it is wonderful that you are able to be with us today.
Thanks so much. Yeah, for having me.
So first of all, before we get started, you have a lovely bookshelf behind your head there. I have to say, we do like that. Anything in particular that you want to draw our attention to that you have back there? We love show and tell.
Sometimes this is organized by color, and nice. Right now I'm trying to make sure that the orange is popping, so it's less about the titles. There's lots of design books.
Very nice. Very nice.
Material culture books, some fashion.
I actually like that. So I arrange my bookshelves. It's not really by color, but because I have a very visual memory, if something has lived on a shelf in a certain spot, even if it doesn't make sense there anymore, I'm like, no, it has to be there because that's where I'll go for it later. So yeah, it's kind of a visual thing. Kristen Meston just wanted to point out that she got an ad today for a skirt that noted not only just pockets, but deep pockets.
Excellent.
And Rebecca says, my most favorite skirt has amazing pockets. So yeah, this is going to be
such an interesting question. Like, has all the hubbub since 2016 actually made a difference? Has it not? That's the question.
It is. It's pretty good. So, you mentioned 2016. Maybe we should start there because there was quite of an uproar all of a sudden about pockets. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, there was just I don't now remember how it started, but I think part of what social media, give me pockets or give me death, lots of memes, lots of discussion of young girls writing to there was that 7-year-old from Arkansas who wrote to what's it called? The Gap, I think, or Old Navy, complaining, why don't girls have pockets in jeans? Where you like get with it, make them. And so there was just this whole sort of, there was, academic work on it, or maybe I should say journalistic work. People were talking about it. Lots of great articles. And I wanted to show that although there was all this discussion, it wasn't actually the first time it had happened. That in fact, this also happened in 1900, and it also happened in 1800. And there's just this long sweep of, this question about material culture.
Right.
It matters. It is political, and it isn't just, now that we started to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's interesting too, because so I'm originally started off as an 18th century historian, and then I've moved around. But when I, the idea of bloomers and things like that, women had all of this fabric and all of this stuff going on in their clothes in the 18th century, towards, especially when you had the big, the huge dresses and the hair, like they literally could hide stuff in their hair. And then you go to, some of the other kinds of things like empire waisted gowns, where all of a sudden there wasn't the same, and fashion changed so much and so quickly. And I think it's fascinating that it goes from being like, oh, that's really, this is correct and this is moral, and that morality gets mixed up in this idea of what you can and can't wear with your clothes, or what kinds of the fact that it's related to pockets just blows my mind, though, I have to say.
All right, so 18th century. I did make the first pockets. Here's a what's it called? I made these just to show how big they actually were. So these were worn around your waist. Can I get up? Let's see.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Please do.
Around your waist and under your skirt. And you could actually really, like, it's like having two amazing, purses.
It's, like panniers or something.
Size. They're really big, and you can fit quite a bit. And
you could put a kitten in there.
Well, you could. And, so women are differently pocketed in the 18th century, but they have what they need. They do not complain about the lack of pockets. Even though these pockets are separate from clothes, they are capacious. They hold everything, right? And you're right, it's around 1800 with those narrow dresses that suddenly these tie-on pockets don't fit.
But when you're wearing that, there's got to be some entrance portal to that pocket. So there must be a slit in the skirt.
There's a slit, and what's called a pocket slit, a pocket hole, actually. Yep.
Oh, how funny. Like a buttonhole.
And you just put your hand right in the hole. Yeah.
It's like a fanny pack you wore on the underside of your clothes, kind of.
Yeah, and it was associated with underwear. And so it was sort of listed as an element of underwear. So when the first fashion handbag sort of emerges, like the pocket comes out, it comes out into public, and it was a sort of obscene. It's like, oh my God, women are wearing their pockets in their hands. And that's sort of the first fashion handbag. And that's why people make fun of it. Yeah, so it's underwear becoming outerwear.
I have heard vaginas called lady pockets before, and now I'm thinking about it in a whole new way.
Well, you and Freud together.
Whitman's pose.
Oh, with his hands in his pockets.
No, that the hand was near erogenous zone with the big skirt.
Yeah. Well, but I love that, because you mentioned Whitman. You mentioned the hands in pockets pose, which is considered to be like daring,
It was vulgar because your hand was, near the erogenous zone, as you say. Pockets locate to lust. What are you doing with your hands? And I think the question that interested me was, why is a vulgar pose? How is it that men sort of take that and make it cool? Because what is vulgar is also sexy. And how do you make that shift? And that's what fascinated me, because there was so much stuff in the etiquette books about, it's dirty. It reminds us of sex, and it takes the mind to the body, and that's like rude. But the way that, I think, so that was the interesting question, like, why then does it also become sexy? And I think I can tell you my answer, but I don't have to if you want me to.
we can keep moving with that. No, but I do like that idea, and I'm sure we're going to come back to it. And of course, I already have like 18 comments stacking up here, which I want to get to. And at the same time, I also want to do the announcement. So let's take a quick look through the tags here. Sharon Roney screams in liberation. Yeah, I get that. Let's see. As long as let's see. There's my current. So we get a lot more talk about skirts that have lovely pockets and patterns. Yes, Anya has a lot of pockets. I remember this.
So I think Anya is right, though. You have to find the maker, and I think you have to find the brand or the maker that is including pockets on purpose, and then you kind of stick with them, because it's not everyone, and it's certainly not mass market fashion, and it's like buyer beware. And I think it's a clever buyer who finds the brand that actually makes dress livable.
Yeah, and useful. Yeah. Rebecca says, my archaeology degree loves that you brought up material culture. It's very 18th century.
The thing that I love about pockets is that pockets are also about objects, and they're about,
true.
I think pockets are the only artifact of dress, the only element of dress that have nothing to do, like the only functional element of dress that have nothing to do with how you wear clothes, like buttons
Right.
and zippers. That's all about how you adjust your clothes. And there's this weird anomaly, the pocket that holds objects, which suggests that dress is not just about appearance, but like life, you know? So
What
anyway,
you're doing with yourself. Yeah.
right. So material culture, like I think the fashion people were like, yeah, who are you? Because I think maybe I'm more of a material culture person.
No, well, we like you here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're big fans. Rebecca said she would have put books in those big 18th century pockets, and they did actually. They did put books in those pockets. I see Kristen Meston says, when I was a teen, I had jeans that had jeweled studs along the pocket edges. And so when you forgot and put your hand in, all the bent teeth inside tore up your hand, not a menswear issue. Yeah, I do know that. And I've also thought about it. Have you ever seen the zipper pockets? But the zipper teeth are like so aggressive that when you try to put anything in those pockets, you can't really, do anything with that. Heidi says, now I'm curious about fanny packs.
Well,
That is true.
I mean, fanny packs are the first pocket, really. I think 15th century, 14th century menswear wore bags. They wear them like a fanny pack. They're expensive. The really sexy ones, you put a dagger through it. It's called a dagger purse. They're made of velvet. They're like high end. And I think initially, really, it was just sort of an accident. And like some tailor said, oh, let's put that bag that's right at your waist. Let's put it inside your big breeches. And that's, it was like, I think sort of accidental. And that's how, pockets come from fanny packs in a way.
That is kind of awesome. And I love that. I'm so glad that you knew that. I really just threw that out there. See, this is why we love authors, because you get deep into a subject and they know the stuff. And we didn't have to speculate. She knew. She knew.
Dad does worry, like, how are you going to make a living when you know a lot about this one weird thing, right?
You're going to write a book.
Right.
Using make a living in scare quotes, because I'm certainly feel like I'm definitely I'm making a living, in a stretchy kind of trying to make ends meet kind of way. But let's take a moment. I see some more comments popping through. Guys, go ahead and put your comments and questions in now. Again, just a reminder that there's a live feed of questions and comments. And there's like a top one. Make sure you're on the live feed so you can see everything that's happening. There's a little bit of a lag, so it always takes a couple minutes for your stuff to get to me. Go ahead and put your things in now, and I'll mark them to come back to. But first, we are going to hit some announcements. And that means I have to go back to the media assets that Davey has created for me. And look, he's numbered them. Bless his heart. All right. So first thing to remember about announcements is that you can meet us on social media, because we're everywhere. I think at this point, it's always a good idea to remind people that we have a Discord. I'm not great at Discord, but we've got one. I try to check in. We have the Facebook page. We also have a Facebook group. The Facebook group is private. Therefore, we can kind of, it's a safe space. There's a Twitter bird up there. We're not on Twitter. We're on Blue Sky, but I couldn't find the stupid small icon, but that's where we're at. YouTube. The YouTube channel where you're watching this right now also will have our upcoming shows, so you can always see what's coming. Later on, we have the Poisoners. We've got that lovely book. It's a what do you call it? It's got art. Sorry, my brain just stopped working. But we also have Mary Roach coming up in September, and of course, our podcast is a great place to catch us, because stuff that is not on this show is on our podcast. You can read with us. You can go to Goodreads. You can also go to bookclubs.org, and we have our own bookshop as well that you can purchase books on and not have to patronize Amazon if you don't want to. Podcast. There's the film podcast, the mystery podcast, new release podcast, and of course, this podcast for those of you who are listening in instead of watching. You can watch us on YouTube, and you can support us on Patreon, which we always appreciate. There is the newsletter. Now, newsletters. I know we all get a lot of email, and sometimes it can be onerous, but I try to be really funny. So, in addition to getting a bunch of stuff about the book club group, I do try to be, mildly amusing for your benefit. So please do sign up to our newsletter. And of course, Peculiar membership. We do have monthly membership. At the end of this year, we'll do our next drive for annual memberships. And those will be, you'll hear soon, actually, surprisingly soon, about what's coming next for next year. Finally, not finally, sorry, second to finally, we have our book cocktail. And I'm very excited about this one. This is an ice cream dessert with a shot. It's basically got a vodka pocket, and it's very exciting. Kat made this. It's French vanilla ice cream. It's got vodka and lavender syrup and bitters and limoncello, and it's amazing and cold and lovely, and it's been hot and awful. And the winning name for this one was vodka in the corner pocket, which I think is just great because it's a shot, right? It's a shot in the corner pocket. Get it? Right. Anyway, we do have a peculiar movie club podcast coming up. Darren and Davey promised there will be a new movie podcast coming out soon. The June movie was Milk for the intermediaries, July movie Wag the Dog for Stories or Weapons, and the August movie A Vigilante for the League of Lady Poisoners, which will be our next show. So now, how do I get this off? Oh, like that. Ta-da, that wasn't so hard. So that is what's coming up. It has been a kind of a wild ride this year with doing so much new stuff for the podcast, but I do think that it has been worthwhile. So, all right, I've got a couple of questions queued up here, and then oh yeah, Jen is applauding you, Kat. I know Kat's running a little bit late today, but says awesome on a hot day with the ice cream and vodka. So Kristen has a question for you. This is our first live question. I really enjoyed reading about the pocket difference between young boys and girls. Did adults add pockets because boys were already collecting things, or did that happen because they wanted to use their new pockets? So which came first, I guess? A chicken egg question.
I think boys had pockets because they were standard and they, because it was a sort of mini menswear. But what I found that was so funny, especially in the 19th century, was there was this idea that that pockets were a natural right. And so therefore boys, when they were born, sort of sprouted pockets, and that they got, now I can't remember it, but like wisdom teeth, you would get new pockets, as you grew, like finally in your teenage years, you got pistol pockets, which were the pockets sort of at your thigh. And so there was a joke in essence about boys have a natural right to pockets and you get more as you get sort of reach adulthood. Of course, that's not really true. And I don't think it's from collecting. I just think that there were more pockets and, because boys were wearing, little menswear. I'm so excited that you asked that. No one talks about that chapter, but I loved the notion that children especially love collecting small little things, and the discussions of children's collection that I couldn't even really include in that chapter was just lovely. Like there was so much evidence about sort of the joyfulness of sort of childhood, just like the junk and the sort of the miscellany of the pocket was just so lovely.
Well, and it's interesting to me too, because girls were encouraged to collect things because miniatures became kind of a rage in the Victorian period, and girls they were supposed to collect things, but they were supposed to collect them in a very specific way. Like you weren't supposed to carry them around in your pockets. It was more like you created collections, I guess, or you curated collections. But it's very interesting that was never okay to carry on your person somehow.
I mean, the evidence I found was in fiction, and like Alice in Wonderland. She gets a thimble, and a thimble is something that young girls are supposed to carry. Your sewing kit is something when you were older you were supposed to carry. Louisa May Alcott's Jo stuffs manuscripts in her pocket. Didn't we have a comment about putting a book in a pocket?
Yes, or I think it was Anya.
And I think that's because
maybe Rebecca.
In that 1860s moment, you really have those bell-shaped skirts, and she probably did have really big pockets. But at any rate, the press does not, you can, because of databases, look at all of the 19th century press, and you can use a keyword search, and there are so few discussions of girls. It's all about celebrating boyhood. Right. And boyhood's adventurousness. And that's sort of really, I think, that's the story that's being told.
Right. So just all that.
Also, though, in our society today, boys and girls don't need pockets because they just don't go out and explore and adventure like I did. I just disappeared for hours, and who knows what was in my pockets when I came back.
There was this
Right.
great 1950s New York Times piece, something like eels and gum out. You know, boys no longer have to carry stuff, just their checkbook or something like that. You know, even in the 1950s, that sense that the childhood was changing from this rural to an industrial time is like noted. That what kids carry shifts. But you do need to carry your cell phone somewhere, and girls have nowhere to put their cell phones. You know, maybe you stick it in a waistband potentially. I mean, like, there's still very important things you need to carry. And when you think about the difference of, like, let's say teenagers and what they wear out, you know, out to a party or whatever, and you're thinking, you know, in an emergency, who's prepared, you know? And
yeah. You know, it's really funny. I was thinking about how, okay, so this is not a spoiler for anyone who watches the show with any regularity, but of course I had a double mastectomy, which means I don't have to wear bras now. But I used to use my bras for my phone. Like, I'd have like a sports bra and I'd tuck it into the thing because that was a place you could carry it and no one could like easily grab it off of you. And now I thought, oh, I've lost another version of pockets. I'm gonna have to wear men's jeans now, you know, just to make up for it, really. Actually, I already wear men's jeans, but you know, but yeah, it is kind of an interesting idea that I know lots of things that are tucked into people's bras and sports bras. And I did see quite a lot of new sort of active wear now has pockets, I find. And I think it's for the phone. I do.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's great. And it fits on the body. I mean, you do look like a chipmunk, you know, like with your phone sticking out in your cheek. But I think that's exactly why. Yeah.
I agree. All right. So I get a question from Susan Cotter. She said, when we talk about who gets pockets, did you ever get to check out doctors' coat pockets? Very nice size and good for small books and notepads. I've been told they need for when no phone service, but do men and women's doctor coat? I mean, is there a difference there?
I did not get to do that. I was told this book is not a tome, you know, like, get it out. There's so much I wish I had included. I mean, I think religious wear as well. Like, I think monks' robes have interesting pockets. Like, there's a whole host of utilitarian, sort of job-specific clothing that has really, really interesting sort of pockets. Of course, military pockets are the ones that fashion has glommed onto, and we, you know, endlessly sort of riff on military gear and looking prepared. Like, the cargo pocket craze since the 1990s is all about looking like you can do anything and go anywhere. So that's what I looked at. I didn't get to look at the medical.
An interesting question, though. I mean, lots of stuff to go on. Sadie mentions period products. This is so true. One of the only reasons that I started carrying a purse when I was a young person was because of that. Because I'm like, and oddly, like, you kind of knew who had started their period, but like, they're carrying a purse now. They're carrying a purse now.
Right. Well, exactly. Like, it's a shirt. You can't hide it, and it's a. I even mentioned that. Yeah, like, you cannot hide while you're getting up to go to the bathroom if you have to carry a purse. Yep.
You know why you're going. That's so funny. All right. So I've got another. Wait, I've lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Sadie. Sandy. I had a man ask me to put a pocket on his fanny pack, which of course I did. I have my functional performance called the Pocket Project, which remedies why women don't have enough pockets. I kind of like the idea that now we're putting pockets on fanny packs is like, we've just come full circle.
Yes, absolutely.
That is too good.
And I love that you had to sew it. I mean, I think that's the sort of interesting, all sorts of designers. I think it's Claire McCardle who was walking in the hills in LA, and she was painting and didn't have anywhere to put anything. And she made her mom sew her a pocket, and it looks like a snap-on purse, like from the 50s, those old-fashioned snap purses. And she just stuck it on the hip. And that innovation became something that she included in all her collections. So I think that moment of putting a pocket on a fanny pack is just the sort of DIY innovation that women have had to come up with, that women designers
Yeah.
especially, have employed in all sorts of fashion in the 20th century, 21st centuries.
That is so cool. So I'm going to ask. So there's a little bit of a lull for a minute, but oh wait, no, I see. Susan says, sadly, the need for period persons hasn't gone away. No, it's true, because a lot of bathrooms don't carry supplies, even in schools and things like that.
But many do, and that I feel like that has been a real moment of excitement that I see more and more.
Yeah, it's so good. And it says, Anya said, when I was in high school, I stashed them in the back of card catalog drawers. Getting creative, that's a kind of a pocket. It's a library pocket ish. So there's a bit of a moment of lull. I want to ask, do you have a favorite? Like, I always ask authors, do you have a favorite part of the book, a favorite pocket story, a favorite thing where you're like, this was my moment?
Well, I'll say two things. I'll say that one thing I love is just that the reason that I wrote the book comes from literature, and it comes from a man who had a bad dream that he had no pockets. And so that was Mark Twain, and he had a nightmare that he was transported to the Middle Ages, and he woke up in armor. And he, in armor, couldn't get access to his pockets, couldn't get his handkerchief, couldn't pee, the whole gamut. And he wrote it down in his notebook, and that bad dream became the first time travel novel, Connecticut Yankee. And so I love that it was literature that brought me to pockets. I mean, I too have that feeling, like when you're locked out and you do that patting cat thing, and you're like, I don't have what I need. So that's just a favorite moment. But I guess my favorite chapter really is what Leanne mentioned, is the gesture. I love that I could trace pockets all the way, holding your hands in your pockets all the way to the Middle Ages, to like the 1440s, and trace it all the way to the present, and sort of come up with, like, discuss why that pockets are so crucial to sort of showing your gesture and your attitude and your sexiness. And that was a really fun chapter to write. I loved all the imagery. I loved Walt Whitman. I loved all the cool guys. I loved thinking about when women could do it. It was really fun.
I'm a hands in pockets person. That's my jive, that's my like leaning on a corner with my hands in my pockets, kind of James Dean kind of thing. And you're right. I think it's cool and sexy and hot. And I never would occur to me that somehow that guys were allowed and women weren't. But when I think about it, it's rare that you see women doing it. When they do, it's often a statement, isn't it? Like, if I'm thinking about like,
well, before 1920, it was impossible. Yeah. And so I think it's definitely a sort of a, it's a modern thing, women sort of taking on that pose. I think of that famous photograph of the smoking, Yves Saint Laurent was smoking. I don't know if you've seen it, where she's standing in a menswear sort of outfit in an alley, and she's got like one cigarette, one head in the pocket, and it's just the freedom to have that sort of gestural coolness, And I think it's because actually it's not just about rudeness. I mean, I think hide your hand. Our hands are so expressive, right? My kids are always making fun of me, like using my hands. I think it's from oratory. Like, when you hide your hand, you're basically saying, I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to engage. I'm distancing myself. My hand is hidden to you. You can't tell what I'm thinking. There's all of this metaphor involved in inserting your hand into your clothes. And we sort of take that metaphor and link it to like a psychic sort of moment. Like, you are, what's the word? Disengaged. You are removed. Your hand is inside your clothes. You are psychically removed. Like, isn't that amazing? I just found that
that is amazing.
I think that's why it's sexy,
I never thought
and it's cool.
I would never have thought. Leanne, I've never thought of that.
It's amazing.
I love it. And I feel cooler now doing it also. Like now I'm going to do it in a really intentional kind of way. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you want me? Oh yeah. Hands in the pocket. Right now,
Well, I
right
mean,
here,
I
right now.
totally geeked out, and I just like looked at every single image of,
I love that. I love it. Okay. Well, believe it or not, we've at the half point in the show, which means it is time for a musical interlude. And Susan Huang, who does lots of music for us, she's amazing. She was a small person in the stop motion early on with the saddle shoes. She has created a song just for you about this book and about pockets. And so I think all I have to do is hit this button. Let's find out.
Place to put your hand, a handkerchief, a watch and chain, posies, changes your stance, hold your cash and the change, a wallet in the right bag, lipstick in the left, a place to put my phone and keys, a notebook and pen, a pocket holding everything. Look, Mom, no hands, my pocket's holding everything, so I can just dance, just dance, dance, just dance. Oh, what you put in there, all the things you hold close, your money, your mascara, and your secret notes, a ship or the moon or the despair of stones, an equally essential kind of room of one's own, a pocket full of what I need. Look, Ma, no hands, it's my pocket, got it, and I'll show you who wears the pants. Just dance, dance, just dance. Keep those fake pockets far away from me. They got nothing to do with the woman's reality. A thing that looks like a pocket with no utility. Yeah, I know what that's called. They call it misogyny. A pocket full of what I need. Everything. Look, no hands. It's my pocket, got it, and I'll show you who wears the pants. Just dance. Just dance. Just dance. Just dance, dance, dance. And just dance, dance, dance. Just dance, dance, dance. And just dance, dance, dance. And just dance.
And no animal was harmed in the making of this video.
That's right.
I don't think there's a better, thank you, Susan. I don't think there's a better rhyme I've heard. A pocket with no utility, and that's misogyny. That's amazing.
Is that not amazing? I love the wearing the pants. That's very good. I love that. That is amazing. She's always, yes, no animal was harmed, she says. It was beautiful. I always love when Susan does songs for us because, first of all, Susan, by the way, if I haven't said this, I know I've said this before, but we'll do it again. She runs the Bushwick Book Club, and they invite people to come and sing songs about your work, about books. And I was one of the lucky recipients twice for this treatment, and it is amazing. Yeah, it is pretty awesome, and she's pretty awesome too. So all the fun we can have when we have our hands free, says Kristen. So awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sorry, back to questions, because it's this show goes so fast when we're having a good time with an author, and you're fascinating and wonderful. Susan says, "Oh yeah, I've long held that fake pockets are a definite sign of misogyny. Lack of hooks in public bathrooms too." Yes, I agree with that one. I always feel very welcomed when I go to a bar that has hooks, actually, under the, for your purse.
Well, we scorn fake and shallow people. We scorn fake and shallow people. We should scorn fake and shallow pockets.
I like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one.
I mean, I think, especially with the rise of fast fashion, you want the look of a pocket, but you're not going to pay to put in a pocket. And I think that's, I think the misogyny comes in when you think of pockets are standardized in menswear. You could not get away with not having pockets in menswear. And women's wear, it's always been provisional. Like maybe some seasons, maybe not others. And I think that's the evidence,
Yeah.
I think, was it, right? Without pockets, you are not equipped for the real contest. And that was Wind in the Willows, 1900. And that was
That's
Toad,
right.
I think, complaining about cross-dressing when he escapes, right?
Shallow pockets suck. Actually, I have a funny story. So my partner and I, Mark, Lady Paws, as many of you know him, we're a rather gender fluid couple. And so we share clothes a lot. And I wear a lot of men's clothes, and I buy men's suits typically and just have them tailored to fit me. But he takes over my jeans. So he really likes blingy jeans. And so he took over a couple pairs of my jeans not too long ago. And it was so funny. He was like, well, it's okay. I'll just put my phone in my pocket. Why is there not room to put this in my pocket? So he's experiencing this for the first time. He's like, this is wrong. I was like, I know, right? So yeah.
Yeah, there was a great BuzzFeed, the editors at BuzzFeed, when it was still in existence, had an experiment. The female editor had all the male colleagues. She sewed up their pockets, and they had to get through a day. And they couldn't carry their badges. They didn't have their wallets. They didn't know what to do at the urinal, like where do you put stuff. And one of them said, it's like knowing that electricity is invented and having to walk around in the dark. The experience of wearing, of not having pockets.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. It is very frustrating. And now that I've gotten used to it, because I wear men's pants a lot, when I switch over to the summertime, men's shorts don't fit me right. So I switch back to women's shorts, and I'm like, oh, right, I forgot. There's no pockets in these things. Kristen Meston says another story that was really interesting was about the fate of Abraham Lincoln's pocket contents. Are those items still on display?
Yep, they are. Yeah. I love that story too. Lincoln was shot. He lived for, 24 hours or something. But everything in his pockets were collected. And I think in the 30s, the Library of Congress got this secret package. A relative of Lincoln donated it to the Library of Congress. And then not until the 70s was the stash opened. And it was in the librarian's sort of special, the head of the librarian's special closet, and it was wrapped in paper, and it said, do not open. And of course the new librarian did open it and wanted to sort of stop the veneration of Lincoln, this sort of cultish veneration of this president, and thought that the contents of the packet would humanize. But actually, people were so thrilled that the things that he carried that night at the Ford Theater were together and collected, that it became almost like sort of relics, and people,
Okay.
most frequently visited exhibit, the items that Lincoln had when he was shot. And they had a Confederate sort of fake Confederate bills. I think one piece was a favorable review of his presidential candidacy. Like there were sort of lovely tidbits. It's like the things that you put in your pocket and don't think about reveal something about the real you. Like it's not stuff that's on exhibition. And I think that was why I love that story. And yes,
That's
they're
great.
still there. You can see them online. You can go ask to see them.
That's nice.
Yep.
I think that's cool. Gosh, this makes me.
I love this reader who's actually read everything. Thank you.
This is one of the great things about the Peculiar Book Club and one of the reasons why we save our the podcast typically does new releases is because we do really prefer people to have had a chance to read the book, because it's so much more fun to have a discussion when people have actually read through it. I know it doesn't always happen, but I was at an event last night for my fiction, and it came out too soon, and so people couldn't ask me, like they were like, "Did you enjoy writing it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So it just largely became a discussion about what it's like to be autistic. So, which is also fine. Susan says, how do we evaluate if the size of the pockets in women's versus men's clothing is becoming more equal? Is this based on thinking women's hands are smaller? And that's a really interesting question.
I mean, I think there's an amazing study that I sort of showed an image from in the book. It was a 2018. I think they're graphic designers and design researchers, and they went around and measured pockets in women's and men's jeans, like 70 pairs, and actually analyzed, how wide and how deep they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it doesn't have much to do with hands when you consider that most objects also don't fit in women's pockets. They were like, I think 50% less long or less wide. They were significant. There was a significant difference that did not have to do with the size of your hand. In fact, your own hand could not fit in most pockets.
That's true.
And so I think the desire to make those smaller pockets comes from the motivation for most mass manufactured women's clothing, which is that it should appear beautiful. Women's wear is about appearance. Men's wear is about utility. And that's why we have that difference. It's all because of we are clothing the people that we imagine ourselves to be and want our future children to be. So if you walk into the children's section and you look at the difference between the girls and boys section, that's where it's unbelievably stark, that difference.
Right.
But as adults, you can go and find the right brand. But as kids, you can't.
A kid, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you have sparkly, like nothing with no pocket. And that's it. So sorry, I feel evangelical in those moments, but that's I think it has nothing I think it has to do with ideas and nothing to do with actual, size of hands, for example.
And for one thing, like I have massive hands. My hands are enormous. I don't play the piano. If I did, I'd have a 9-key spread, right? So it's also like ridiculous because it's like the whole like women's brains are smaller idea. It's just not true. I missed it. Someone up here said, oh, there it is. Have you heard of the claw grip? It's about what women can hold in their hands.
I mean, and that suggests the failure, right? The people on TikTok I think, what are they doing? They're like holding as much stuff as they can in their hands and kind of walking around like this, and there are pictures of them.
I think so.
And to me, that's just like so sad. It's like, okay, I guess we've given up. We're just going to carry it in our hands. I mean, it's funny.
And it's true though, because I have done this. I've literally where I've walked out and been like, I don't want to take 2 trips, but I've got nowhere to put things. And, so if you don't have a great big bag, like seriously, you do end up with that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, you can't win though, because it says the more women carry, the more dangerous they are.
They are. That's right. And we need to come back to that. But first, I see a Davey. Hey, Davey.
Hi, everybody. How's the episode going?
It's going well. It's a nice view you got back there, Davey.
I wasn't sure this was going to work. Well, I was here at sunset, and I figured I had to say hi. How could I, not show you this amazing view?
That is gorgeous. Where are you at? I forget.
We are in Acadia National Park, Seal Cove, Maine, on Mount Desert Island. And we just ran down to get a sunset picture with the family. And I figured, well, if it looks so nice for a family picture, why not a background for Peculiar Book Club?
That is absolutely true. I think I hear was that Maggie? She's like, this is where
Maggie and the kids. They're right over there in the wagon.
Hi, kids.
We're gonna go back up before we get eaten by mosquitoes.
Okay.
But Hannah, good luck on the quiz.
Thanks.
Yes, that's coming up.
Remember, it's tangentially related to your book. So
wait, I didn't know there was a quiz.
Oh, there's a quiz. All right. Goodbye,
bye,
Davey.
everyone.
There is a quiz, but you're gonna love it. Trust me. It's like everyone's favorite thing. So before we hop into the quiz, which we will do soon, I want to get back to this idea about dangerous women with pockets, because you do say that in the book about this idea that somehow women with pockets are like that could breed them to be dangerous in some way. Do you want to talk more about that? Because I think that's fascinating.
I mean, it started with some evidence about a tailor who was making bloomers, so bicycle bloomers. So the first sort of bifurcated pants that women are wearing during the bicycle craze in the 1890s. And he made them out of leather. Early pockets in the 16th century are also sometimes made of leather, like really sturdy materials. Like we think of pockets as like, just cotton or something. Anyway, this tailor said, well, I know that, they carry suffragist speeches and maybe even guns, and the idea that, and gum to fix your tires. So the sense that in a sturdy pocket, you could carry everything you need and don't rely on anyone. That was the danger, not just the gun, although the gun was also potentially dangerous.
Yes. Susan had said earlier about John Wilkes Booth used a pocket-sized pistol, and you had a thing about small pistol pockets, right? For that very reason. But you're right. It's dangerous because, women might not need men. So it always shows this fear that it wasn't that they really thought women were incapable. It was actually that they feared that they were capable.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's it.
I can definitely carry more things in my hands than my partner. Like I've got claw hand.
But you're encumbered when it's your.
That's true.
Like
Kathleen says we could just shove it down our corsets.
Well, there are wonderful corsets that do have they did like sports bra. There is a pocket sometimes in corsets.
Yeah. Well, and being a small-chested person, there were always pockets in my corsets, but there was always going to be room in there. So the quiz is actually a lot of fun, and I'm gonna slide Leanne out for a minute because I think I gotta change the way this is set up to do this. But there's these questions. Davey creates these quizzes, and the quizzes are amazing, and they're always a several leap away from your book, but nonetheless tangentially related. And I don't know what the quiz is, so this is going to be a surprise for both of us. I think I can pop us like that. Okay, and then I can put this. Oh no, it just disappears us anyway. Okay, that's all right. So says, I'm sorry in advance, says Davey, but all these examples are from men's pockets. But in the cult classic movie, so these are pocket snacks. This is a whole quiz about pocket snacks. And essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you questions, and the peculiars can be your lifeline. So the peculiars can reach out, and they can give you potential ideas.
I'm gonna need it because I don't remember that movie. When was that movie? Is that fair?
Ages ago. A different timeline, totally. So, in the cult classic movie Napoleon Dynamite, what popular cafeteria snack does Napoleon keep in his pocket and eat during class? And the answers are A, chicken nuggets, B, French fries, and C, tater tots. And I have never seen this movie, so I am no help. But you have the peculiars. They can have your back about this. But when did this movie come out? I really don't know. Oh nope, Rebecca didn't watch the movie either. Uh-oh. Does anyone else want to help out?
It's just going to be a wild guess if I can't get help.
That's right. It is frequently a wild guess anyway. I'll just be perfectly honest with you.
How about tater tots then?
Tater tots sounds good. Actually, Kristen Meston says, I saw it a long time ago, but I would choose C as my snack.
Yeah, and that's what
Randy Trent says, give me your tots. Yeah, let's do tater tots. All right. I think I like this idea quite a bit. And I'm going to try to, looks like Leanne is suggesting C as well. All right. So let's find out what happens when I go to the answer. Where is the answer, Davey? Where'd you put the answer? Which one's which?
Oh no, what are we gonna do?
Oh no, there it is. It's tater tots. Okay, it's C, tater tots. That was a good guess. Okay, you're 1 for 1, Hannah. You're doing very well. You're doing very well. Okay. So here we go with Davey's next. Davey's so much funnier when he delivers these two because he's actually the movie guy. All right. Pocket snacks. The League is a hilarious semi-improv sitcom and often guest starred the incredibly funny. Somebody want to?
Jason.
Jason. Yeah, Jason. That's it. Jason as Rafi, who was notorious for keeping what food in his pockets at all times? And the answers are A, hot dogs, B, sliders, and C, chicken fingers. These all sound like terrible things to have in your pocket, frankly.
I would say A, hot dogs.
You're going to go with hot dogs? All right.
Does anyone have a
Kristen says, I know what he had in his pockets in The Good Place. I don't know anything about TV. You guys are not helping me at all. Let's see. Susan C. I just made tater tot casserole showing my Midwestern roots, and I was very sexy while I did so. Not helping. All right, so I'm gonna go with you. I think hot dog seems like a good guess. Also kind of like, dirty at the same time. So let's try that. All right. The answer is it was hot dog. For the fact that we're just guessing, you're on fire, Hannah. Someone shoot me every time I do that wrong.
No. It's okay.
It's okay. My last name is Schillace and everyone pronounces it Shalacy, so I feel you. All right. Here's an example from real life. Oh, I didn't know this. The Milwaukee Brewers baseball team are the hottest team in baseball, and it all began when the manager, Pat Murphy, pulled this breakfast food out of his pocket during an in-game interview. A, pancake. B, waffle. C, bacon strip. These must have been awfully large pockets, frankly. I feel that that just seems like ridiculous things to have in your pockets. All right.
I'm going to say bacon strip.
You're going to go with bacon strips. Okay. Susan's going to go with pancakes. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'm just going to say waffle to be different. Uh-oh. Little pancakes. Oh, gosh. We're all over the place. Okay. We've got pancakes and we've got bacon.
Well, so maybe we should do, all right. I think is there more for pancake? I think I should go with A then.
Oh, all right. I think we're going to switch to A. We're going to switch to pancakes. I like pancakes a lot. This kind of makes me want pancakes for dinner, actually. All right. Let's see what it says. Pancakes. You won the quiz. You did it all right.
Well, I had to listen to good advice. Thank you, everyone.
That was amazing.
I think that was like not a great quiz considering the room. Don't you think there are a lot of women watching this? Reading this book, and those, I don't know. We need to talk to.
Well, apparently they're selling pancakes at the ballpark now. Kristen says dollar pancakes were never meant to be considered pocket-sized. Wow.
So there's a contraband corned beef sandwich that was on an Apollo flight that was in
it really?
Pocket. Yeah.
That's kind of funny too. Well, okay, yeah. So I hear where you're coming from, because I do think pockets. Yeah.
What does it say about boys and men? Do we want to ask that?
What's that?
What is this? What does
it say about boys and men?
This food. Do we want to go there?
Food in the pockets. Yeah, because they were all men's foods, men pulling foods out of pockets. Do women keep food in their pocket? Does anybody know? Ryan says best pocket food while skiing is peanut butter and jelly, bacon wrap, and a flour tortilla. Okay, this says a lot about men and snacks, I think. Snacks in women with snacks in pockets. What are you guys eating out of your pockets? Rebecca says, I do have emergency granola bars in my purse, but no snacks in pockets. Okay. Yeah, I don't keep snacks in my pockets. Anyone else keep snacks? Well, I know we don't have enough pockets, but purse snacks? Does anybody keep purse snacks?
Oh, I do too. I also have
purse snacks.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe purse snacks are more of a thing than pocket things. I would sometimes have a loose stick of gum in my pockets in high school. Always so warm and soft. Fair.
Oh, fair. Right. Well, he should have had the end of Ferris Bueller's Day Off when the principal comes into the bus in the last scene and the girl sitting there says, "Do you want a gummy bear?" And it's been in her pocket.
Oh,
remember? And it was like warm and squishy.
Girl pocket, squishy pocket. There we go, Davey.
All right.
That's hilarious. Wait, now we've got a whole bunch of other things. So Anya says, I actually put a banana or cheese stick in my pocket if I'm going. I don't think I have any banana-sized pockets. I have to be honest. I don't think I do. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, but I buy shorts with huge pockets. Okay, fair enough. I don't think I have banana pockets unless they're very small bananas. Let's see. Jen says, I put snacks in my pocket, but sometimes put my water bottle or thermos in my work pants pockets. That's a pocket right there.
Oh, I was invited when the book came out to go to Boston to the Women in the Trades and it was women gathered who were all in the trades, and
Okay.
they had a fashion show about the best sort of work gear for carpentry and plumbing and all of that. It was amazing to attend, and it was like they did serious work to try to find the right clothes. Yeah, it was great.
That is awesome. Yeah. And it's funny because I like pants pockets. It's never really occurred to me that dresses or skirts could have pockets. I literally, this is how, enculturated this is. It didn't occur to me that pockets could be in dresses and skirts.
There's all sorts of great places for pockets and skirts. I mean,
there are, yeah.
They're really wonderful. And there have been amazing designs that have taken advantage of that. And there's some amazing like surrealistic designs, like Elsa Schiaparelli, Italian designer in the 30s, made pockets shaped in this like shapes of lips that you would have to put your hand right in the really funny, quirky jokes that involve pockets. And so I feel like the other thing about pockets is that they're playful and they're funny, and it's an actual, it can be made into kind of anything. Let's see, Gaultier, for example, Jean-Paul Gaultier, the French designer, put like pockets that kind of would on your bum that were separated so that when you walked, they would sort of bounce. So this notion that, yes, they're for utility, but they're also for all the sorts of jokes and double entendre and sort of fun of fashion. So fashion takes anything useful and turns it into play. And I think that's the other amazing thing about pockets that we should say, like, sometimes a pocket is not a pocket, and it's really super fun for all of the things it can sort of say and joke about.
That is awesome. And I don't, I think like, again, it's mostly that it's like, it didn't occur to me. And I remember my very first dress that I bought that had pockets came from Title IX. And I didn't know it had pockets until I got it. And then I wore it and was like, what the, oh, you can do that. And it was just like this whole revelation that you could put pockets in dresses. And I thought, I should have thought that you could, but it just never occurred to me before.
I think that's their tagline. Yeah. Like,
yeah. It's got pocket. I want the accordion pocket to come back so that I can organize what is in my pocket.
There are 18th century suits, menswear suits that I have seen that have accordion pockets. So like just even at the hip, pockets that have, the notion that menswear pockets have always, there are like 12 to 20 of them. And this idea that you could organize what you have is very different than the woman's purse, which is just like this sort of,
cavernous space.
Cavernous cauldron, right? And this, like the pockets on the suit are sort of like a bureau, So even if you don't have the accordion.
I just wonder, is it like, men designing purses, they tend to think of the women's anatomy as this as well, right? Like you just need a big dark hole. It's fine. Like they don't really think about the various places you could, give me structures.
About that are also in the 18th century. I mean, it goes way back. This notion
goes all the way back.
Dark closet into which, a vacuum of stuff is, sort of placed.
Oh man, I love it.
And so that's part of the misogyny, right? Like women are disorganized and don't know what they have. And that's part of the sort of like mean jokes that occur in this sort of discussion about who wears what and who holds what that you can also trace for centuries.
Right. And like Susan said, they say wear the clothes for the job you want, but many professions still require the woman's option, right? And that's completely true too. Susan says, going to classes, Harley Quinn. There we go. I also think that because I dressed in both men's and women's clothes, the first time I bought a men's suit and realized there's not just the pockets you can see, there's pockets you can see, and then there's hidden pockets. And then there were pockets I found 2 years later that I didn't even know were in there, where I just randomly came across yet another one, and it is kind of like, I'm angry about it. Like I'm almost like, you're like, really? You have 14 pockets in this suit. How do you have 14 pockets in this suit?
I think I've always wanted the interior breast pocket or any interior coat pocket. I mean, that seems so incredibly useful and just is never there.
I actually bought a coat that
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No. I mean, there are men who joke about having too many pockets and that it's hard to know where you put things.
Well, that is okay. That is true. I have had that experience too. But I did actually. There's a tailor that I go to frequently around here in Cleveland, and I have gone to them with many coats and had them put an interior breast pocket in it. So I've had like pockets added repeatedly in my life. So all right, a few more things here. Let's see. We're talking about Glinda, the pink dress could hide 100 pockets. That is very true. Were pockets covered in the Barbie movie? I don't think so. I don't remember that.
Oh, good question.
Yeah, because I don't think you're right. I don't think Barbie clothes have pockets.
I think no, but I think she does have accessories, right? Like
she does have accessories.
There must have been some purses.
Yeah. There might have been. Yeah, I think maybe the Corvette is just the pocket. Like you just put everything in the car and then you're good. Well, I just realized it's 8:03. And we've had you for a whole hour. You've been so kind and generous to give us all of your time, and we have had so much fun talking about all the things that there's so much more that could be said. Oh my God.
No, this is such a pleasure.
I just saw Rebecca say, well, but at the end of the movie, she gets a vagina. So there you go.
Right. That is back to Lady Pocket.
We do a lot of vagina stuff on this show. We did Vagina Obscura. We did Been There, Done That. So we're very vaginaed up in this group. I don't know why there's probably better motions I could have come up with for that. For those
just
of you watching the show.
Think of
the quiz. The quiz was very interesting for that show, actually. Okay, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Leanne, for stepping into the Davy role. Thank you, all of you who have been so great with asking your questions tonight. And Susan, who, by the way, Susan was having trouble getting onto the comment feed. If any other people are having that problem, we think maybe we've got it sort of figured out. It has to do with some sort of update that happened on YouTube. So if you got questions, you can email me. Thank you all again for being here. And Hannah, you have been brilliant and amazing. And your book is brilliant and amazing. And we'll have you back if you write another one.
Great.
And thanks to all of you, our viewers, for being at a place where, if you're weird, you are family.
Thanks.
You got the blue bottle blues when you wake up in the night. Don't make a big mistake, 'cause you can never make it right. When you reach out for the vial, feel the ridges in the glass. It's a matter of survival, baby, better watch your back. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no